You're gonna rue the day, Carly Shay. You're gonna rue it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi guys, it's Blake and welcome to my channel. I wasn't gonna make this video because I didn't want to sound totally crazy and like psychopathic, but you guys already know that I'm a crazy bitch, so I figured I would just do it anyways. Today I'm gonna be telling you guys a story about the time that I pretended to be Nevel from iCarly. And if you guys don't remember who Nevel is or you don't know who Nevel is, I'm gonna put in a little clip right here.
Take some tapenade! Spencer!
You shouldn't have done that, Carly Shay! You'll rue this day, you'll rue it!
So yeah, that was Nevel, and I'm just gonna give you guys a little bit of a warning. I'm about to say like, he said, she said a lot in this video, so just bear with me. It's part of my storytelling process, and I'm not the best, like, literate person in the world, so you know what, just, like I said, bear with me. So, before I get too far into this video, I just want to say that, hi guys, my name's Blake. If you're new to my channel, then make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications. If you are a returning subscriber, then hi you guys. I love you so much. Thank you for being a part of this messy channel, a part of my messy life, and thank you for putting up with my ever-changing weird hair and face and crusty lips because they're really chapped right now, and just ignore them. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just gonna start this video off by saying that it begins in Los Angeles, California. So I was staying in Studio City and my friend Taylor invited me over for a movie night at her house in Hollywood. So I took an Uber ride to Hollywood. We had a couple glasses of wine, we had some candy, we just like had a good time, binged on some food, watched a movie, just a good night, right? So I call my Uber driver to bring me home, and that's where the whole story takes place, in the back of this Uber driver car driving home to my house in Studio City. So the Uber driver pulls up in front of Taylor's building, and I kid you not, his face was literally like he was looking up at this building in total awe, and I was kind of like weirded out getting into the car. I'm like, hi, are you Paul? Like, I was scared that it was some like weirdo. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm Paul. Like, do you live here? Is this your building? Like, this is so cool. Like, are you a celebrity? Like, celebrities must live here. And I was like, oh, like, no, this is my friend Taylor's building. Like, she's filming a reality show though, so you never know, she might be a celebrity soon. And he's like, that's so cool. And immediately he starts going off on this tangent about how he loves Hollywood, he loves LA, but he's never driven a celebrity. He's like, I've driven actors, I've driven producers, but I've never driven a famous person. And he starts saying that like all of his Uber driver friends have driven famous people, all of his Uber driver friends have stories to tell their kids, and he has no stories to tell his kids, and it makes him sad. So he starts telling me about this, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, but I'm sure you'll get a celebrity one day. I'm sure it will happen for you. I'm sure it will all be good, okay? And I'm kind of feeling that like third glass of wine. I'm just kind of like chilling, and I tell you, like, he would not stop like talking about the celebrity thing, and he starts going off on this tangent how everyone in LA like works in the industry. It's such like the entertainment industry is so big. And I kind of just tell him like, oh yeah, like I used to be a child actor. I did some small stuff back in the day, and it helped me pay for my school. I live in Arizona now. And he's like, oh, you were an actor? Like, you were a child actor? He's like, oh my god, like, what were you in? What's your name? What's your name? And he's like trying to get his phone like out of the little holder at the front. I'm like, oh no, like there's nothing really to look up. I just did commercial work, some voiceover stuff, like nothing big. It paid for my college, and that's all. And he is like totally shook, you guys. He just keeps talking about like, he's like, oh no, like, what's your name? I need to look you up. And I was like, no, like, drive. Like, no, like, put your phone back, right? So that conversation kind of blows over, and we start talking about something random. Like, he asked me about like my grandparents and like respecting your elders and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, it's important to like respect the elderly. And I'm like, I love the elderly, I love old people, but like, it was just random, right? So the topic of conversation kind of switches from like the elderly grandparent thing to the celebrity thing again. And he won't shut up about this, like, I want to meet a celebrity type thing. I want to drive a celebrity. And at this point, like I said, I'm feeling that third glass of wine. I'm like, okay, I could either just keep going with this conversation, like, like, yeah, that's nice, you'll meet a celebrity. Or I can pretend to be a celebrity right now and like make his life, make him happy. And like, I'm like, no, like that's totally crazy. Like, don't do that. Like, you're a weirdo for even thinking about that. And then he keeps talking and talking. And I'm like, oh my god, like I'm just gonna have to pretend to be someone. So I tell him, I'm like, well, you caught me, I'm a celebrity, right? And he's like, oh my God, I knew it. I knew there was a celebrity in my car. He's like, I could tell you just had that star power. And I'm like, yeah, I have that star power, yeah. And so he starts asking me, he's like, oh, so who are you? And I'm like, gosh, I didn't think this through. So I'm like really at the top of my head, I'm trying to think, I'm like, who's like around my age that I could say like is me, like who looks like me? And the first thing I could think of, I was like, oh, like I was on Disney Channel. He's like, you were on Disney Channel? Like what show? I was like, oh, I was on Hannah Montana. And I was thinking, I'm like, well, maybe I could pass as like Jackson from Hannah Montana. I'm like, I don't know. I was just trying to think off the top of my head. That was the first thing that popped into my head, you guys. And so he's like, oh, like I don't really know that show. I don't know who that is. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, I was also on Nickelodeon. And he's like, you were on Nickelodeon? You were on Nickelodeon? He's like, I love Nickelodeon. My kids and I always watch Nickelodeon. Like, what show were you on? And I was like, what show was I on? I don't know what show. I'm like, and I couldn't, like, I only watched a couple shows on Nickelodeon, and they were like cartoons, so I was trying to think of like an actual show. I was like, oh, I was on iCarly, and I kid you not, you guys, he was like, had his hands on the wheel. He's like, oh, iCarly? You were on iCarly? Oh my God, who were you? Like, I love iCarly. Like, he's like, I tell you guys, I was like, this guy's crazy. Like, he was so excited about this iCarly thing, and I was like, oh my God, what did I just create? I created a monster. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, should I say it was Gibby? I'm like, Gibby, then I thought, I'm like, oh my God, Nevel. I'm like, I could say I was Nevel, because it's like, he wasn't on it enough that I feel like people are gonna like really remember his face. You know, I feel like this guy, he's older, probably hasn't seen the show in a couple years. He wouldn't really remember exactly what Nevel looked like. And so I was like, oh, I played Nevel. And he's like, oh my God, I loved Nevel. He's like, you have to say it. You have to say it. And I'm like, say what? He's like, you have to say the line. And I'm like the line? I'm like, oh. And like, I realized like, he wants me to say like, you're gonna rue the day, Carly Shay. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, God, how does he say it? I'm like sitting there, I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, I'm a little rusty, but you're gonna rue the day, Carly Shay. You're gonna rue it. And he's like, oh my God, I loved you in that show. Like, you were amazing. I can't believe I have Nevel from iCarly in my car. And meanwhile, I'm trying to like look up really fast. I'm like, Nevel from iCarly, like Nevel, and I'm like trying to see who like plays this guy, and this guy ends up being, his name's Reed Alexander. So the Uber driver, Paul, he's trying to ask me, he's like, so where have you been? What else have you done? And meanwhile, I'm trying to say, I'm like, Reed Alexander, what has he done? And he hasn't really done that much. So I was like, oh, like I've just gone to school, I'm in Arizona now. Like it was a good time on iCarly. And so he starts like just like talking about iCarly, how he loved it, how his kids loved it. They used to have this ritual of watching it. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. By the way, my name's Reed Alexander. Just trying to like really play the part. I'm like, yeah, people always ask me about the Carly Shay line, and yeah, it's just really cool, you know, I get recognized a lot. And so he starts asking, he's like, oh, if your name's Reed, why does your name show up as Blake on the Uber ride? And I was like, oh, I forgot that it says Blake on there. So I literally say, I'm like, oh, like I only do that so people don't know who I am, because if it says Reed Alexander, they're gonna put two and two together and they're gonna know that I'm famous. Like, I just don't want to be hounded, you know, the paparazzi and stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, I totally get it, it must be really hard. And I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm like, oh, little does he know that Reed Alexander is probably like, doesn't, like, nobody knows who Reed Alexander is at this point. Like, they probably look at him and they're like, oh my God, Nevel from iCarly, that's so cool, but like, he's not getting paparazzi'd, you know? So anyways, so we're almost back to the house, right? Like 2 minutes away, I'm just like, get me out of this car, I just want to be out of here already. And he basically, we get to the house and I go to get out, I'm like, oh, so nice to meet you, like, love my fans type deal. And he's like, wait, no, like, we have to get a picture together for my kids. And I'm like, yeah, like, let's get a picture together. Yeah, let's get a picture. So like I'm like in the back seat, I'm like, like, hi. And like, we take this picture and all I could think of, I was like, all I could think of is he's just gonna get home and he's gonna show his kids this picture and his kids are gonna be like, that's not Nevel, Dad. Like, that's just some random person. That's some random person. And I'm just like thinking, I'm like, I'm a terrible person. Like at this point, I was just trying to be nice and be like, oh, he met a celebrity. Like, that's so cool. He's probably so happy. I didn't think like, oh, he's gonna take a picture with me. He's probably gonna fact check me and like realize that I'm a fraud. Like, and so he literally, so he starts saying like, thank you so much, it was so nice to meet you. I can't wait to tell my kids, show them this picture. I get out of the car and I immediately start cracking up. I call my friend, I'm like, you'll never believe what the hell just happened. I'm a crazy person. I'm going to hell for this. Like, I'm just like shook, right? And just to make matters worse, you guys, so he's kind of like sitting there for a second and I hear like ring, ring, like the dial tone, like he was calling someone over the Bluetooth and it was super loud. It was like echoing in the car out like the neighborhood. Like, as he's driving away, like I hear him like talking to somebody and like all excited, like telling them about what just happened. And I was just like, wow, his kids are gonna get that picture. His wife is gonna be like, you just drove a psychopath around. Yeah, that is my story. That is the time that I pretended to be Nevel from iCarly. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to me and blank out, and I'm really weird right now. I haven't done a shout out in a little bit, and I want to do that because I've been promising people shout outs, and the first shout out goes to Kendall, the Asian. I really hope like I pronounced your name right, because if I didn't, then I apologize. I love you. Thank you so much for all this like the support and the sweet comments and like all the nice things that you have said to me. I appreciate it and I totally love you and sending you so much love. Then the next person that I'm gonna give a shout out to is like, I actually got this comment today that I thought was like super funny. It was like a derogatory term for like gay or whatever, but it's like a funny version. So this guy, his name's Stephen W, said pillow biter, period. And I just couldn't help but laugh because it's like, I looked it up, I didn't know what it was, and pillow biter is like when you're getting like hoi ya ya and you're biting a pillow, like, you know what I mean? It's like, it was just like, it's a derogatory term, but it was super funny. So thank you, Steven, you made my day. Or it's not Steven, yeah, it was Steven, yeah. Thank you, Steven, you made my day, it made me laugh. And yeah, without further ado, I love you guys so much, and just remember that I'm a mess, life's a mess, Nevel Papperman is a mess, and so let's be messes together. Bye.